in Brazil, it's not important what kind of religion you are, but it's important what kind of football team you are supporting and samba school you are supporting. These are the two important things.
Hello and welcome to the Auto Ethnographer. I'm John Stech, your host on this journey. We travel the globe to bring you stories about culture and the global automotive industry. Fasten your seatbelt and let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Auto Ethnographer. Today's guest is a seasoned automotive executive whose career has spanned continents, brands, and decades, but whose heart, it seems, has always had a bit of a Brazilian beat. Philipp Schiemer, a native German, began his journey with Daimler-Benz, now Mercedes-Benz, in 1987, rising through the ranks in Germany before embarking not on one, not on two, but on three major stints in Brazil. Over the course of more than 20 years there, he helped shape Mercedes-Benz's footprint in Latin America, navigating everything from product launches to economic turbulence with a steady hand and a strategic eye. Most notably, he served as the CEO of Mercedes-Benz do Brasil from 2013 to 2020, overseeing passenger car, truck, and bus operations during a period of intense transformation. Later, he would come back to Germany to lead Mercedes-AMG globally for Falterbach. Philipp's career reflects a rare blend of intercultural fluency and industrial vision. And today, we'll dive into the stories behind those decades, what it meant to lead through Brazil's booms and busts, and how Mercedes-Benz recalibrated its presence in one of the world's most complex automotive landscapes. Philipp, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome, John. It's a pleasure to be part of your podcast, and I'm really excited to talk about the history. It's a bit our history because we work together. I think 30 years from from now. Much younger, but I think the shape is more or less the same. So it's really a pleasure, and I think the automotive industry is a very exciting industry, and working in Brazil or with Latin America, also work with other continents, is always giving a special flavor to your career. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit about it.
No, that's great. And I think because you spent so much of your career in Brazil, I think that's going to be really the main focus of our conversation today. So, out of curiosity, 20 years in Brazil is a long time, and you went there 3 separate times. What kept pulling you back?
Actually, this was not a strategic plan. It was more or less by coincidence. When I first went to Brazil in 1991, when I studied at a corporate university of Mercedes-Benz, mostly in Stuttgart, and I missed the experience of studying abroad. And I had at that time I was thinking, maybe I leave the company, I do an MBA somewhere, and then all of a sudden there was a proposal to go to Brazil or Argentina at the time. And actually, I spoke Spanish, and I say, look, I want to learn something different. I knew nothing about Brazil. I knew a little bit Pelé, football, but nothing more. And then I said, no, I go to Brazil. And so I arrived in Brazil more or less. It was a coincidence, if you want so. And but from the beginning, I liked the country. It was totally different from Germany. You know, Sao Paulo at the time still already had 20 million of inhabitants, very large. We had an inflation of 40% a month. I could not imagine that this worked, and to my surprise, it worked. The life was normal, and so I was this nervous situation, this kind of everything you learn something new. This was exciting for me, and so I loved the country. I stayed there for 7 years at that time. Then I wanted to come back because I thought that my time at that moment in Brazil was coming to an end. So I went back to Germany also to do some networking. You know, in a global company, you need the networking. You need to get home based sometimes. If not, you lose so much let's say the connections and also the knowledge. And I was there for then in Germany for several years, very good times also. And then a former colleague was elected president of Brazil, and he asked me if I don't want to join him there as sales vice president. And for me, this was wow, this was my dream job, yeah? Because when I started there the first time, I was assistant of the sales vice president, and I said once to be the sales vice president would be great. Went there a second time, was a very exciting time also because it was the beginning of compliance in the big organizations, and Brazil was one of the main focuses because of many of the let's say the fame of the country and all things of stuff. And so we passed really through some hard times. Very interesting. On the other side, we had a unexpected boom in Brazil. So we were selling like hell. At that time, maybe you remember, we carved out of Chrysler, or there was a Chrysler separation from the Chrysler company. I had to do this in Latin America. It was very difficult. Every country, because Brazil is one part, but I was responsible for all Latin America. So exciting to do this in Venezuela, things like that. It was really a lot of adventures. At this time, actually, I thought maybe I would have the chance to be president there after a time, but it didn't work out. Then I went back to Germany once again. And then 4 years later, Brazil entered into a crisis, and then they were looking for somebody who knew the country, who knew the situation. And then they asked me once again. My wife actually wanted to kill me, more or less, but then because we had also young children, but then we accepted once again, and I was there 7 years as a president. Very exciting time, very tough times for economically wise, just crisis. But on the other side, very, very exciting times also. We did a lot of transformation of the company and recovered the company and put her in a good shape. It was a hard work, hard times, but yeah. So the time passed. If you ask me 20 years, I say, wow, it's impossible. But actually, yeah, it has been 20 years.
That's amazing. And just to point out, while you were doing the so-called carve-out from Mercedes-Benz and Chrysler in Brazil, I was doing exactly the same in Egypt, separating the two companies in Egypt. And then I kind of finished the job in Moscow, where I finished separation.
Yeah.
So also challenging markets from that compliance perspective that you mentioned a few moments ago.
Yeah, exactly. This was really there were some nights without sleep, and we had one case in Venezuela, because in Venezuela the company was owned by Chrysler, so it was the only company in the world where let's say we carved out of a Chrysler company. And so this was
two places.
Actually, places. There was another place. Okay.
Yeah, Egypt actually, where I was. Okay. It started as a Chrysler company and kind of separated again in the end.
Yeah, it was really funny, but at the end it worked out. It was good.
No, it's amazing to go through this. But let's turn back the clock for just a moment. I mean, your first impression. You spoke a little bit about it when you landed there. But your first impression landing, you had this inflation. How did you even deal with that as an individual living there? I mean, salary would have to obviously be adjusted almost on a weekly basis if the inflation is like this.
Actually, to be honest, it's not so difficult as it seems. At least in Brazil. First of all, the most important thing is you have to have a bank account and things like that. And this is what normally poor people don't have. Therefore, poor people mostly suffer. So if you have a bank account, there was a kind of overnight deposit, so you get interest per day, not per month, per day. And this interest rate actually is always a little bit higher than inflation. So actually, one of the learnings is if you have money with inflation, you will get richer at the end, because normally if you have and you have solid banks for sure. You have don't have it cannot be a country where the banks are not solid. Brazil, fortunately, they have solid banks. So you have to apply your money every day. You cannot let it stay on your normal account without interest. You have to apply it every day. This is one very important thing. The second thing is for the poor people or for normal people, what in Brazil was normal, and I was really astonished. They had huge supermarkets. I didn't never understand why they have so huge supermarkets with, let's say, at this time, this was 1991, 30 cash boxes, 40 cash boxes. I did not understand it really, but it was always like that. When the people get the money, they went directly to the supermarket and bought everything, because they knew on the next day it would be more expensive. So, especially for the poor people, you had to spend your money at the moment. Yeah, and so the system actually it worked. And as you mentioned, with 30% a month, we had a new currency every 6 months. Because after a while, we started with, let's say, one Cruzeiro Real was $1. After 6 months, one Cruzeiro Real or $1 was 100,000 Cruzeiro Reais. So, and after more 6 months was 1 million. So you had to change the currency all of the time. Was also very funny. So we did this every 6 months. And when I was coming back to Germany, there was the euro conversion of the local currency in Germany, the mark to euro. And we had a project team, I think 3 years in advance, and everybody was worried, how should this work to change the currency? I was wondering, because in Brazil we did this every 6 months, and we didn't have any project group. Yeah, so so it was a good experience to see that it was working. For sure, for the country it is bad. Inflation is the worst thing for a country. What could happen? But if you are in a wealthy or a good position with money on a bank account, then you can earn money. One thing you learn also, if somebody has to borrow money from the bank in inflation, he's lost. A company without cash in inflation countries is lost, because he will never pay the interest rates over the circle. It's not possible. Yeah. So a lot of learnings. It was very interesting, really, to see how it worked, and the people adapt. It's the funny thing. Yeah. The restaurants, they change prices every day. It's not nothing special. They would say it was normal. Yeah. And also amazing was how then they could, let's say, could stop the inflation, this circle. This was after, I think, probably after 10 economic plans. Then they really they made something very special, and from one day to the other, it stopped the inflation. And since then, inflation is more or less under control. It's not like US or Europe with 2%, 3%. They still have 7, 8, but 7, 8 a year is nothing compared to 40 a month.
But I think you struck at the heart of something there, which is the flexibility and the adaptability of the people in Brazil. Right? In Germany, this would be utter panic. Right? This is like 1920s Germany, when you had the massive inflation, the hyperinflation. But in Germany, you had a project team. You said in the company to change
in advance.
to change to the euro from the Deutsche Mark. And yet in Brazil, it's just I hate to say it, but it's normal.
It was absolutely normal. Yeah, and also, you learn something about the behavior of the people. So in inflation countries, whenever the people feel that there would be a devaluation or something like that, this was never announced, because with inflation, they also have to change the exchange rate. That time it was more or less controlled. Today it's free floating, but at the time it was controlled. And the people, they smelled that there's a devaluation. Then they were buying everything. This is a moment where you can sell everything, because the people, they don't want to have money then they want to have, let's say, goods.
Products.
So they buy cars, trucks, they buy everything. Yeah. So it's to do predictions in this kind of country is very difficult, yeah, because if there's something like this happening, this change all your forecasts.
I experienced something very similar, both in Egypt, but especially in Russia during the
Russia,
global financial crisis, when
yeah,
suddenly all of the money came out of the mattresses and people were buying cars and refrigerators and stereo systems
exactly.
and TVs. Yeah.
Yeah. Was really funny at the beginning. Also, Brazil at that time was a closed market, so it was very. It was actually had very little interaction with foreign countries. So everything should be produced in the country. So many things were very outdated, old computers, old systems. And when I arrived there, the beginning, for example, telephone line was an investment. Uh, I was not understanding that. As I was once invited to a wedding, and the gift of for the couple was two telephone lines. And I did not understand it, and I said no, because it's a huge investment. Because they will rent or they will sell the telephone lines, and the people will pay a lot because there are not enough telephone lines available. No? So it was really funny things. This changed completely over the time, but yeah, it was really amazing. Yeah.
So tell me, when you arrived, I mean, obviously you were German, and much of this was a complete
Mm-hmm.
shock to you. You know, the reaction
Mm-hmm.
to this type of situation in the market. What adjustments did you have to make personally to somehow adapt yourself to these circumstances?
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, what I think very important, and you also know that if you come to a country totally different from yours, I think the first thing is very important to try to understand and not to judge. So try to understand how the people are living. So I think very important is to talk to the people, to ask them how this is working, how would you do that, and I think this is a very important step if you want to have success afterwards in a different culture. Yeah, so you really try to dig into the country to understand why it's working like that. Once again, not judging whether this is better or worse than what you are used to, but try to understand, and then you have to adapt to that, yeah? And you have to live like that. And I think this was for me in the beginning. I was a young fellow at that time, 27 years, very curious, and this was also quite easy in Brazil. It's very easy to make friends. Yeah, so you can talk to the people. People are very open to talk to you, and then you learn it. Yeah, and then you have to try it, and then when it's working, you get some confidence. Yeah,
This is also indicative of your ability to
yeah,
just open your eyes and to understand that a different culture works differently. How did that translate itself, for example, into decision making? Right. First, you were there when you were younger, so you
yeah,
were probably getting the decisions, not necessarily making them.
yeah.
That became part of your role later. But how was the decision making different in Brazil than what you would have experienced in Germany?
Yeah, I was in the beginning. I was the assistant of the sales vice president, so I had the opportunity to join meetings, and there observing the people how they interacted. You understand a little bit that it's different. So, for example, in Brazil, uh, it's not it's not usual normally, or you try not to blame your opponent. Some things you have to dig very deep to understand whether there's a problem or not. If somebody tells you everything is good, you should not believe it at first glance. You have to really to dig deep in a quiet, try to make this in a smooth manner. So this is, I think, very important. In Brazil, what I learned, people are it's very easy to motivate people. It's very easy to motivate to try something new. People are very much engaged in something. The difficult thing is after it's to make this consistent working, yeah, because the people are very, let's say, quickly excited, but also if they are the first obstacles, sometimes they lose very early the resistance. Yeah, and then they don't want to bring the problems to the to the to the top. They want to hide the problem. So this is something I think you have to learn, and you have to interact. At the end, also what is very different from Europe is in Brazil you have always, in every relation you do, you have first talk to the people, then afterwards talk about the business issue. Yeah. So if you have a good relationship with your partners, you can do mostly everything. If you blame your business partners, or don't let them in a good mood, or be too reserved, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And so you have always, as a German, sometimes we are nervous. We want to have the things fast. Sometimes you have to slow down. On the other side, if you have the confidence of somebody, you can get nearly everything. Yeah? So there will be no limit. There is no hour. There is no
Right.
effort which is tough enough the people would do for you. But it's very important. You have to have this relation. You have to listen to the people to give them the feeling that they are, let's say, that you talk on one level to them, and that you trust them. Yeah.
This must not be so easy, because historically, let's say 30 years ago, when you were there the first time, I mean, in Germany, there's typically this wall between the home and the office, and the personal self, right? You don't really make friend relationships in the office so much. I mean, you can probably go for your entire career, and some people you always call, Mr. Schmidt as opposed to the first name. Right. Yeah. How was that to change and to open up and to have to start with the personal side before getting down to business?
Yeah. I mean, it's also in Brazil. It's also, you have these hierarchical things, and sometimes maybe the Brazilians, if they reach some high levels in international companies, even they are maybe sometimes more German than we are. Ne? On the other side, I think this was for me always let's say, part of the success. Ne? I always, in many situations, for me it was the first time I had some ideas, but actually I was not experienced, so I needed the help of the people. So there was no other way for me to open it up. And I understood in the beginning that if I give somebody to them, they will give it back to me. Yeah? So then you talk, and actually it's always funny also. I remember very well, we once we tried to sell some vans to a big customer, and he had not bought Mercedes for 15 years more or less. Yeah? And I was visiting him, and he's a very, very rich, famous, one of the biggest fleets in Brazil, South America. And we were sitting together, and just we two, and we were talking, I think, 1 hour about everything but business, about the family, about the business, about how it was the weekend, and about how was this and how that. And then after 1 hour and 1 hour and a quarter, then I think we closed the deal in 5 minutes, because we had such a good talk, and he not that I earned. It was afterwards still a tough negotiation, but he said, "Look, I felt I like this guy. This is good. I can call him. I know if I have a problem, I will call him, and he will attend me." Yeah. So and this is important. Yeah.
I'm sure the first few times it's difficult not to, tap your foot or tap your hand on the desk while you're waiting for things to move forward.
Exactly. It's like that. Exactly. You have to know, if you start a meeting, first you have to tell something about how was the weekend, how was the football match yesterday evening, how was the dinner, how was I don't know what, and then we get started. Huh? It's not like in Germany, where a meeting starts 5 o'clock, and then morning, and then let's go. Yeah. So it's different. Yeah.
Very different. I want to come back to something you said a little, a few moments ago. The way that you would address problems and kind of looking for problems. Is that similar to the kind of the Asian concept of face, where people didn't want to lose face in front of the group? How would you handle those kinds of let's say discipline issues? If there was a problem, did you have to go into a separate room with somebody, not in front of the whole group? Did you have to say things in a very indirect way, or could you use that let's say German directness?
Actually, for sure you can use the German directness, but I think it's always try to be polite with the people. I think this is very, very important, because if you do the German directness, for sure the people will attend, but your relation will have a problem later on. So you can have you will get what you want now, but you don't know what will happen tomorrow. Or so it's much easier if you feel there's something. I always try to have then the personal, the face-to-face. We both together. Then I come to you, and then we talk, and then normally the things are getting settled. Yeah. And also very, very, I think for me always very important was to talk to many people. Yeah. So also to have always not just to have the contact to your direct reports, but also to the base, always to have a knowledge, so that the people know that normally they cannot tell you something, because they know that you have somebody else who can tell you if there's a problem. And I think this created at the end really a very good let's say relationship. On the other side also, I think if you feel somebody is abusing this, let's say, good willingness, then you also have to be strict, but I think this is all everywhere. Yeah. Then you have to be strict and say, look once more, and then we stop this. Yeah.
It sounds like you had a trust in people, but that you still had a type of a verification system just to make sure that that what you were getting was the actual facts.
For sure. I think this is you have to have this everywhere, no?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What did you find? I can't talk about German Brazilian culture without talking about Pünktlichkeit or punctuality. I visited Brazil quite often between 2015 to 2019 when I was responsible for the region for Volvo, and I found that punctuality was not so much of an issue, at least not in the organization that I was responsible for. Did you find the same?
Let's say it improved a lot. Yeah. So and when I arrived, actually it was in Sao Paulo, where I lived, which is the biggest industrial city. So it was never such a kind of a problem. But you had some experience more in the private sector. So for example, you make a dinner at home, and then you invite the people at 7:00, and then the first arrives at 9. Yeah. So, but this changed over the years. I think it's easy. I think nobody would care about half an hour. So if you invite somebody at 9, they would come 9:30. I think when you have to calculate with this, but not more. On the business side, actually, people are quite punctual. They have discipline, but it's not the 100%. In Germany, if you start a meeting, at 10 o'clock, at 9:55, everybody's in the office, and 10 o'clock it starts. In Brazil, if it starts 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, everybody nearly arrived. 10:05, everybody is there, and then we start 10:10. Yeah, but nobody would be there 9:55. Yeah.
No, for sure not. For sure not. I mean, I was raised in a German household where if you were 5 minutes early, you were already late.
Yeah, exactly. But it's actually so it improved over the years. Also with the in an international company and more and even more now with video conference and things like that. You have to be and the people are. It's not like that.
Exactly. Certainly, there must have been disagreements in the company or with your various business partners, let's say large
Mm-hmm.
customers or the
Mm-hmm.
dealers, for example.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle conflict in Brazil? And
Mm-hmm.
how do you find that to be different than in Germany? I know in Germany you're very rational, right? You put
Mm-hmm.
together a rational argument and all of your
Mm-hmm.
points, and you put them on the table, and you have the
Mm-hmm.
discussion. How does that work in Brazil?
Once again, at the end, the arguments are still, let's say, that they are important. The issue is how you bring the arguments. If you talk to dealers, normally what you try to do that before you go into a big dealer meeting, that you have with the most important stakeholder that you have private conversations and you talk in advance, yeah. So that actually, if you go into a big meeting, that you have the result already. It's already more or less worked out. Yeah. So the preparation is quite important in a big room with different kind of interest parties. There is very difficult. So you have to make this outside the room in private conversations. We had very tough discussions with unions, for example. We had to dismiss at my time last time a lot of people in Brazil. So very tough discussions with unions, with government, and things like that. And we had the big meetings, but actually the most important things were besides those meetings in private conversations and also, yeah, sometimes, but this is, I think, also it's not so different from Germany. Maybe sometimes you have to give a little finger to get something back. I think so. So the give and
Right.
take principle, I think, maybe in Brazil is more important than in Germany. Yeah. So
Mm.
you have to let the other side win. Also, it cannot be just one somebody is winning. You have to give something to the one side. So if you go into a negotiation, you have always know what you can give, yeah, and what could be interesting for them. Yeah. So I think this is important. I I think it's more this give and take is more important than in Germany, for example, or Europe. Yeah,
Mhm.
where it's more the stricter positions and it's like that, and you cannot be flexible. Here, you have to have you have always to have a certain flexibility. Yeah.
So that was obviously something that you took into your leadership style when you were
Yeah.
leading in Brazil. Are
Yeah.
there any other, besides the give and take, are there any other leadership qualities that you picked up in Brazil that you didn't pick up or couldn't pick up in Germany?
It's not that you cannot pick it up, but you don't. I don't see it so much in Germany. I think as a leader in Brazil, if you can give to your company, to the people, the feeling that you're part of this company, that you are part of them. For example, easy things. The president, he's going, he's having his lunch together with all the employees, not just with his staff, but he's joining a lunch. You're sitting on a table with workers, and you talk, have a chat with them, and it has nothing to do about business. Can be about, once again, football, about the weather and things like that. That they feel that you are part of the team, then you can get a much higher response and a much higher commitment from them. People are really very much importing themselves about this personal relationship.
Hmm.
So be close to the people. Yeah, for sure you are the boss, and it's clear that you are the boss. But be close, talk to them, give a hello to them, shake the hands to the cleaning women with the cleaning women. This is something which is spreading around, and people are, let's say, they are they are giving very much value on that, and this is very important for you if you have to do tough decisions. For example, once again, I said I had to dismiss during my time at once 20% of the people. And in Brazil, it's not like that you dismiss and it's a severance package or something like that. Then it's tough, yeah. And I personally survived that. The people, they believed in me that I was doing it because it was necessary, yeah. And this is, you just get this kind of trust if you are close to people and they feel that you are part of them, yeah.
That's a difficult thing. I experienced something very similar with Chrysler during the global financial crisis, letting go half of the company, and I know how that affects you personally.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit on the lighter side,
Yeah.
did you choose a football team in Brazil, and did you let people know who that was, or did you stay neutral and safe?
No. You have to. This is something like that in Brazil. You had. It's not important what kind of religion you are, but it's important what kind of football team you are supporting and samba school you are supporting. These are the two important things, and it's you share this with the people, and it's always people are making jokes all the time. So it's you're known, you are the guy supporting this football team, and people are joking with you, and this is great stuff.
Yeah, we had. I think there were three big groups within the Volvo Car Brazil. You had three different groups of three different teams, and it got stressful when the season finals were coming along.
Yeah. But it's always fun. It's always fun. Yeah, exactly.
And now you were there for 20 years. You surely spoke the language, yes?
Yeah, I had the advantage that I spoke Spanish before, and with Spanish you can. I learned Portuguese quite easily. You know? I needed some 4 or 5 months to be more or less. I could talk to the people and really have discussions. I think this is very important. To you have to speak the language, especially in countries like Latin American countries or you have to speak the language and to understand really the people, to understand what they want, you have to speak the language. And actually Portuguese or Spanish is not so difficult that you cannot learn it. Maybe Chinese or things is much more difficult, but even so I think it's always helpful to know a little bit.
No, absolutely. I fully agree with you. Unfortunately, I always chose countries that were much more difficult with Arabic and Russian.
How was it in Russia? Did you speak some Russian? Or?
I did actually. I learned quite a bit. I was there for 7 years, so I picked up quite a bit, and I can still understand and read the Cyrillic today.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears a little bit. I mean, literally shifting gears. There's no way that we can have a podcast and a discussion without talking about your time at Mercedes-AMG. So you spent 20 years of your career in Brazil and going back to Germany, but you really kind of your apex back in Germany, to use a racing term, was with Mercedes-AMG, which is such an aspirational brand, and everybody who knows performance vehicles knows about this brand. How was that to rise to the top and to lead this brand, especially given your experiences that you had just left behind in Brazil?
Yeah, it was very really an amazing experience, and was for me the perfect finisher of my career. It was like that to tell the whole story. I was in former times. I already had worked a lot with passenger cars and also with AMG. I was during 4 years. I was head of Mercedes-Benz product management, and I was in that time had a lot of relations with AMG. We defined the model strategy for AMG together at the time, and so it was not that I came there without any preparation. But when it was a time when I was 2019, 2020, I had to decide whether I would finish my career in Brazil or whether I would go back to Germany. Due to family issues, we decided we wanted that our daughter the younger daughter, who just had mostly lived in Brazil, we wanted that she should have some time of her youth also in Germany to get experience. So therefore, we decided at that time it would be good to want to go back to Germany. And then there was when then the AMG offer came, it was something you cannot deny anyway. It was very tough because it was exactly during the COVID time. So I left
Yes.
Brazil in June 20, which was the high of COVID, and I arrived at AMG, and this was very tough because I was 7 years outside. So for many people there, I was an absolutely newcomer, and they could not see me because everything was by video conference. So this was really tough to go into the business, and also to at that time nobody knew exactly how it would go on. So very very also tough decision time, and but on the other side, I think also the time in Brazil helped me a lot with that. So AMG is maybe the most, let's say, is more the most flexible company into the German car companies. It's a very small company. People are also, they're very important that they have the personal relation to their superiors. And they want to talk. They are very motivated, and they want to really to discuss with you the subject. All people. They are car enthusiasts. Ne? So I tried from the beginning on to have really to talk to everybody. I called everybody personally and had discussions. This helped me in the beginning a lot, but to be honest, the first half year was really tough to get ground on. And then afterwards was a great time, really with wonderful people. Because the people who are working at AMG, they are really they are motivated. Or you don't have to motivate them; they are motivated by themselves. No? Great working atmosphere, super competent people. Yeah, and it was really a pleasure to work there.
Now, how do you feel that the Brazilian experience helped you there? Was it because of the flexibility and the speed
Yeah,
that the company had to
exactly.
work? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The flexibility, and also once again the personal relationship to
The personal
the
relationships.
knowledge that you have to work to talk to the people, especially also in AMG, a high complex technical products. You have to hear different kind of opinions, because if not, you don't get the full picture. And this, I think, this helped me a lot to have this understanding that it's very important to have a relationship in every part of your company to get the right information to you. This has helped me a lot, especially in the AMG spirit is a very dynamic spirit. So it's very fast changing. You're always working on the limit or the technical limit. So many times you have to change also your direction, because what you see you are reaching it. It doesn't go longer, and you cannot insist on that. If not, you lose your target out of order. And so you have to have really a kind of flexibility. If not, it's very difficult, especially even more special in a time like that where the transformation ICE engine to electric engine was starting.
Exactly. Now, the pinnacle of performance and engineering is Formula One.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's crystal clear. Mercedes-AMG has always been quite dominant in Formula One. This must have been quite exciting for you as well. Were you always a fan of Formula One, following it, or was this something new to you that you really had to dive into?
Actually, I was always a fan from the former times in Latin America. I was also responsible for Argentina, and Juan Manuel Fangio, which is a legend of Formula One racing. He was a Mercedes-Benz dealer, so I had also the pleasure at the time to visit his installations, his birth house, and so it was something. I was always, let's say, inspired by people like that. Afterwards, for sure, Michael Schumacher was a great idol also in Brazil. Brazil's they love Formula One, Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher. So they always loved very much Michael Schumacher. In every bar you were always asked about Michael Schumacher. So it was always something I was interested as a fan. And in AMG, actually the Formula One team, we have to say it's a separate company. What AMG is what we are doing. We are, let's say, the entrance from the Formula One team into the Mercedes-Benz company. So we were always if you're talking about marketing issue, about commercial issues, about other issues, always we were the contact partner. So we had quite close contact. Also, the engine engineering company is a 100% daughter of Mercedes-AMG. So even though that they are situated in UK, so we always had a relationship. I was part of the advisory board of the Formula One team, so you get very close, yeah. And it's really fascinating because it's AMG already would say for automotive, let's say, yeah, engineering is the top, yeah, but Formula One is
even
still
the pinnacle,
2, 3, 4 steps higher.
Yeah.
It's amazing the effort which is put in, and the differences to make 1 second is a life, yeah. If you lose 1 second, and it's really it's amazing to see how the people are working, how many people are engaged there, how professional they are, yeah, and how much effort is behind it. And it's also amazing to see how the business is grown. When 2020, many people said that the Formula One is dead, yeah, because they were losing interest and things like that. Today, 2025, it has never boomed so much. So it's really unbelievable, yeah.
No, it is. I know I've seen you at least on 1 or 2 episodes of the Drive to Survive. I've actually seen you on the screen on my Netflix.
Yeah, it's really amazing to be also part of the race. The engineers, how they are working, what they are doing overnight, how they are analyzing the data, what kind of information they are having. It's top.
Yeah, this must be incredible to experience that firsthand. Yeah. So I have to ask, as the CEO of Mercedes-AMG, you must have had your choice of any model to drive home every evening. Which one was your choice? Which one gave you Gänsehaut, goosebumps?
Oh, many cars. Actually, I drove during a good time of my when I was there. I had a G63, yeah. The G-Class 63, which is amazing. Yeah, this is a car I loved every morning to jump in. It's really amazing product. From the driving point of view, I would say the AMG GT Black Series is fantastic. It's so much power, I think 750 horsepower, and so easy to drive. Fantastic! It's unbelievable to drive this car. Amazing. And also a great car I love always to drive is the A45. 4-cylinder engine with I think at the end 400 horsepower, unbelievable 4-wheel drive. It's really also it's amazing to drive. Drivability of it. This is all in all AMG cars. The drivability of the cars. One thing is the speed and the acceleration. The other thing is the drivability. How the cars enter into curves. How easy they are to handle. This is something which is fascinating, to be honest. And you just always have to say congrats to all the AMG team. What they are doing is more than perfect.
Yeah, those are certainly cars from my personal memory that you can take out on the track and then drive them to work or to the grocery store every day the rest of the week.
Exactly, it's fantastic, and for sure also the the AMG 1, to be honest, I never drove him home. I just drove him the AMG 1 with the Formula 1 engine. This is a masterpiece of engineering, yeah. And this car on the racetrack is also something. This is a lifetime experience, yeah.
No, I would not even want to drive that one to the grocery store.
Exactly.
Shifting gears again a little bit to as we're getting close to the end of the episode, I wanted to ask, now that you've gone on to other things, and I know you're working on some exciting projects after your retirement from Mercedes-Benz, what advice would you give to a young executive or somebody who dreams of being an executive at Mercedes-Benz or moving even abroad to Brazil?
If you're moving abroad, besides of the career aspect, I think you should always go to a place where you like to go. I think this is easy to say, but I think I saw many people who went abroad, but they were not prepared to. They even didn't want to go. And I think then for them it's better to stay. So if you go to a place, I think it's very important to choose a place where you really like to go. I think this is it's the first advice, because if you like it, then things are much easier. All the problems that you are facing are much easier to solve. The second thing, also very easy said, it's be open-minded. I think this is, if you go abroad, don't compare what you're used to, or don't judge. Say, look, I was used that it's working like this. Now I learned that it can work differently, and then adapt to it. Because if you compare all the time or judge, then it's also normally gives you more problems than solutions. Yeah. And the third aspect thing is also, I saw many people once again when going abroad due to career issues. Yeah, can be important, but I think important is that you understand that you have a great opportunity of learning experience, also experience for your personal life. No? If you move the continent with your family, you get another relation to your wife, to your children, because you're getting out of your comfort zone, and this or it separates you, but normally it brings you more together, and this is also I think a very important issue. So also see this abroad experience as a personal experience, that you can grow as a person. I think this is very important. Don't just see it as a professional experience. See it also as a personal experience.
These are great words of advice. I can say from my personal experience that it was something that my children certainly gained a lot from as a side effect from a choice that I made in my career to move abroad. And I'm sure that you had the same effect with your children.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Philipp, it was really great to have you on the show today. And like you pointed out before, it's been a very long time since we worked directly together. So it was fantastic to speak with you. I want to say thank you for joining us and for sharing these great insights. Any closing comments from your side?
No, thank you very much for the invitation, John. It was really a pleasure, and I think for me it was also very nice conversations, remembering a little bit the times, and it was really a pleasure to be part of this your podcast, and I wish you the best and all the success in the world.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure that the listeners appreciate that as well. A lot of really good nuggets of information in the conversation today. With that, I'd like to say thank you to the listeners, and get ready to tune in next week. Until then, keep on driving. Thank you for joining us on today's journey. Please remember to like and subscribe to the Auto Ethnographer and leave us a rating or comment. For more information, visit our website at auto-ethnographer.com. You can also follow on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.